Welcome to Lux Manifest, the podcast,
where we empower people and inspire change.
I'm Marc Hildebrand. I'm the founder of Modern Leadership Coaching.
And I'm Curtis Gray, founder of Kaine Legacy Studios.
And we're here to help you manifest without guilt.
Let's go. Whoa, look at that. We got it done on the first take.
I feel like you maybe have done some audio before in the past in your life, maybe a little bit of DJing. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, see, now I feel like we're going to keep that in to start the episode.
That's the plan.
I'm not going to do a countdown. We're just going to jump right in. So I think the first thing we want to do is to let people out there know why we even started the podcast in the first place. And I figured a good way to frame that would be to jump into our tagline, manifest without guilt. It's something I live by, something you live by as well. And I'd like to ask you first, what does that mean to you?
So manifest, some people love that word. Some people don't necessarily love it. I've come to love it because what I feel like is actually happening under the surface is we're either heading in the direction of what we want or heading in the direction of what we don't want. And when I say manifest without guilt, when we go out and we try to create things in our life, we're going to have these voices that try to get us off track from actually going out and getting those things. And some of them are guilt or shame or blame or pointing fingers, forgetting to take control of the things we can control. And so when I put these two words together, manifest has a lot to do with what we focus on, right? That's going on under the surface, that's guiding us either one direction or the other. And without guilt is like all of these things that kind of like come up, some of the stories that our brain focuses on that tries to get us to live small, to not do the thing that we were put here on this planet for. When we know and start to figure out how to rewire that so that we're starting to head in the direction of what we want, and we can see those feelings of guilt and understand that they're there just to keep us safe. But in reality, there's something out on the other end, not only something for us and for our family, but like a gift that we have to give the world. We can start to actually put more of the energy into the things we can control and create what we want to create.
Yeah. See, bad or good, you get what you focus on.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. You said something interesting. You said the guilt, right, as an emotion is meant to keep us safe. See, now I've been working with you for years, and we'll do our origin story in a minute, but I really wanted to jump into why we're doing the podcast first. I've been working with you for years, and I've heard you express this principle fairly often about how like the mind is set up to keep us safe. So it's interesting that you say that guilt is one of those emotions that's set up to keep us safe. Like, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. First off, I'm going to call you Coach Kurt because you love when I call you a coach, but like you're the epitome of being able to see things now from a new angle and asking powerful questions to bring out powerful answers, right? So
thank you. I learned from the best. In case you guys don't know out there, before Marc answers the question, what he's referring to is the fact that not only do we work together and is he my biggest client, Kaine Legacy Studios, but I've also been through his certification. So I am a certified life coach in addition to being an entrepreneur. So that's what he's referring to. And I learned a lot from this man. Let me tell you guys, I learned a lot of valuable stuff. One of which is asking the right questions, which means I'm waiting for an answer.
Well, first off, let me just share this. Like, I've learned so much from you because of your willingness to answer those questions, right? There's the asking of the questions, but like some of the questions get kind of deep. And that's what we're going in here, right? And I think by the way, before I answer your question, one of the main reasons why I felt compelled to put this together for you is because the level of conversations that we have, people just don't get to be in the room and hear these conversations. They're more along the lines of like whatever environment they're in that moment, that's the conversations they have. And it could be with friends or other people who don't value similar things. But being in this room, every time we have a conversation, I'm like, Kurt, we should have recorded this. People need to hear this because they don't have a room like this. They don't have a room to share high level strategy things, but also high level mindset pieces that we're going to be able to help tackle for them. So this is our way of being able to give back, right? So getting to your brain tries to keep you safe, right? So when it comes to like understanding, I mean, even thinking about coaching and asking questions, when you understand what your brain is meant to do in its foundation, like it's two main things. It's to keep you safe, right? To protect you, because back in the day, you didn't want to walk out onto the savannah and get eaten by a tiger, right? But also at the same time, it's like meant to automate things so you don't have to think about things all the time, right? So if you're trying to brush your teeth, can you imagine what it would be like if you had to focus and think about every step that it took, right? And so when you think about these two things of, trying to protect you and keep you safe and automating things, what accidentally happens is things based off of our environment, our experiences that we've been through, right? You've been through different experiences than I have, is we start to create these beliefs about certain things. And those beliefs are rooted in trying to keep us safe. So let me give you an example, right? Let's say you're starting a business, right? And you have somebody in mind that you want to reach out to, and you want to either invite them to collaborate with you or invite them to work with you. And then your brain starts telling you about all of the reasons why maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you're not going to have the answers for them. Maybe they're not the right person. What happens if they tell you no? And all of these things that your brain is asking you are the wrong questions that are getting you to focus on what's broken, wrong, or missing and to keep you safe. Because if you agree with those and you go, yeah, you're right, I'm not going to do this, your message never gets out there. You never ask another human if they want your help. And the truth is they could be there thinking, I need this person's help. I need somebody to come along and help with this. But because you didn't verbalize it out loud, you never gave them the opportunity of saying yes or no, which means by default, their answer is going to be no. And they never got the help that they needed. But it's because it's meant to keep us safe. It's like, how do I keep myself safe? Well, if I don't say anything to this person, that's going to keep me safe. But in reality, it's safe right now, not safe in the future. Because if you keep doing that, you're never going to have a business. You're never going to be able to make that impact. So that's what I mean by making us safe. Is like there's these stories and perspectives that our brain tells us to keep living small based off of our current belief system, not creating or manifesting a new path, which is what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, man. I mean, first of all, bars. That's bars. That's exactly why this man is a master coach right there. Like, these are the kind of conversations we have all the time. Yeah, it's the stuff that makes me feel so powerful. Like I can go out, take over the world, because the truth is, if we don't understand how our minds work, we can't strategize anything from a really effective set point, because we're, like Marc said, instead of asking a potential client a question, we're already filling in the answers for them.
Yep.
And we don't even know that we're doing that. It's the subconscious that runs our routines without us thinking about it. So if we're not really super intentional about what we want to manifest and which way we want to go, the subconscious will run its routines, bad or good. It has no judgment. It will just run. Yep. So you really have to be intentional. And one of the ways of being intentional about manifesting what you want is to ask or have someone ask you the right questions. We're not always so good at asking those questions of ourselves, though. That's the thing. So when people ask me what value coaching has, a good coach will ask you the right questions to get you to analyze your beliefs. Then you have something to focus on and be intentional.
Yep. I love that, man. I do want to ask you what manifest guilt means to you, because I know you started this movement and I love your answer behind this. But one thing I want to bring up before we do is I talk to a lot of people in the space of business and growing their business. And what they're talking about is a lot of the technical aspects of growing their business. And that's what they're looking for the answer for. And what I have found is what actually keeps people stuck is what we're talking about today. So if you're in this space where you're like, I want to achieve this, I want to grow this, I want to become rich, I want to be able to do these things, take my family, do all this kind of stuff, the technical aspects will only take you a certain level. What we're talking about today is the thing that really shifts the game for you. I was just talking to one of our clients. He just joined our certification. And one of the things he said is he's like, I was originally listening to you, Marc, and I was thinking like, I don't need to become a coach. I don't want to become a quote unquote life or performance coach. Like, this isn't for me. And he said, I don't know, there was just something that made me want to jump on a call with you. And after I got off the call and then got and saw what was behind the scenes, I feel like this is the missing piece that I've been missing for the last 10 years, where I've been paying all of these coaches for like advice, when in reality, I didn't have this important life skill. He's like, I wish that we taught this to our kids in school of like how their brain works and how to use it for you instead of against you. And so it's these things where we think we know what the problem is, And we have no idea because we're trapped in the box and you can't read the label from inside the box. So that's why like I need people like you in my life too, where you're like, Mark, did you see this? Did you notice this? And I'm like, man, I'm in the box too, right? It's such an important thing that we all need to have people like that in our life.
We really do. And if we don't have these people in our personal lives, good life coaches are really, really good at that. And I'm a convert because I didn't always believe in.
Which makes it perfect for this podcast.
To say the least, I was a bit skeptical about life coaching as an industry. But a good life coach will ask you the right questions. See, the thing is, what I find is a lot of time we have the answers within us already.
Yeah.
I do believe that God, the universe, whatever you personally believe, it won't give you a dream, an ambition, without giving you the tools that you need to achieve that. So it's already within you. What a good life coach will do, ask you the right questions, help you find those answers that already exist within you. And that's an important point I want to stress. Life coaches are not here to solve your problems. What they are here to do is to help you achieve clarity. And because with clarity comes the ability to find those answers that already exist within you. And that's why life coaching is indeed valuable. And on a future episode, I'd like to talk about how, as much as I love using AI for leverage, we're going to get into that topic because AI cannot be a life coach.
No. Unfortunately, like some people have come to realize that after it's planted some limiting beliefs in them. Yeah.
I want to really explore that in depth, how we use the leverage that it provides to grow our businesses, but how some people make mistakes when it comes to AI, as far as like the life coaching space. All right. I think we have gone far enough into why we did this. Hopefully people will see already, the conversations we have that we wanted to share. Because like you said, we're always having these conversations. We both say we wish we had recorded them. Because this is, a lot of this stuff is just pure gold because we're always asking the right questions of each other. And the people that are following us, we have a lot of reach at this point. We have the one reel that has over 8.5 million views and 20,000 followers here and 70,000 followers there on your side and another 40,000. So we have a lot of, people that are following us and they trust us to a degree. And I wanted to just, get a little deeper than just giving people just advice and inspiration, because as important as that is, that's temporary stuff. I really wanted to give them some of the nuts and bolts about what makes people like us tick, what the conversations look like behind the scenes. So, Marc, what I do want to do now is I want to dive a little bit into like our start points, where we started at. A lot of people don't know you started at Beachbody. I always forget that's where you started from.
Yep.
So if you want to break that down for people, let them know, like you started as a body coach before they were called Body, they were Beachbody.
Yep.
And my man was killing it.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate, I'll go through my story quick, and I want you to hit on your story though too, because your story super powerful.
It's a full circle because my story, you're such a large part of that. So
I appreciate that, man. You give me too much kudos, by the way. So once again, you had all the answers all inside of you. I just had to ask a question, right? So I was a police officer from LAPD. Been about 20 years on the department, and I gotten very unhealthy through that process. I had a bunch of stories and perspectives I was telling myself that made me 100 pounds overweight. So I got involved in Beachbody, got involved in P90X, loved it. Started to go through some of the things that we talked about here. I didn't have a deep understanding of why I ended up losing 100 pounds and keeping it off, but that's what I was able to do. And so obviously when you lose weight, people are like, what are you doing? Right? It's the results thing. You get results. They're like, how do you get those results? The crazy thing is people always used to ask me like, how did you lose weight? They never would ask who I had to become to lose the weight. And that's really what the work was. It was once I made that decision and I understood how my brain works, I lost 100 pounds and I've kept it off for like 13 years now. And we'll talk about this probably as we go into the series, but I spent too much time in Beachbody. Like, I didn't realize this. But the thing that I thought was my ceiling was actually just the step to the next level. Yeah. And I made it my ceiling for a while. So I was in Beachbody for, 7.5, 8 years. Until I got into I got into what I'm doing right now. And it was crazy because like I had been hitting this ceiling of $40,000 or $50,000 a year for like 5 years, and I was trying everything. And the moment that I made the switch and started to do what I do now, which by the way, I took all of the beautiful lessons that I learned from Beachbody with me, and I moved it into the next piece, which was more of like life and performance coaching. Like I quadrupled my income just in that next year because of using that, not as my ceiling, but like I said, like as my stepping stone, right? So, and I know we actually met while I was working through the Beachbody system, which I am so blessed. Like I can't believe how we met still on opposite sides of the United States, how connected we are, the conversations, even though we both grew up in different places, different times, all this kind of stuff. Like I just feel like really connected to you on a deep level. And it's crazy how we ended up connecting and then ultimately started working together in like a really, really deep capacity. But that's kind of the process that I went through.
Yeah. So just so people understand, like Marc, LAPD, guys, LAPD. And there are a lot of like my friends from back in the days that are listening to this podcast, like, Kurt, you work with a cop? I'm like, I am best friends with a cop, guys. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I have never been, nor will I ever be against the institution of police and of itself. Can you imagine the world without law, without people to enforce that law? Yeah, I think, what happens sometimes with some cops, just like with some people, if you give them too much authority and they don't have the responsibility to go with it or the right mindset to go with it, they can abuse that authority.
100%.
But to paint all police with that broad stroke is a mistake. And I will say that. So I will say this, though. We've hung out a few times in real life. So I'm on the East Coast. Born and raised in New York. I live in New England now. And Marc is from LA. So we've hung out a few times at a few retreats. Phoenix, Scottsdale. Was that the one where you broke your leg playing basketball?
That was, the Utah was the one where I broke my leg.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he does have that 1,000-yard stare.
I can't get rid of that. I've tried to, man. I tried to. But not to say it, like you are the life of the party on all those places. People would start like crowding around you. I'm like, what's going on over there? Oh, it's Kurt. Kurt's talking again. Because you are that kind of person. I mean, I guess you did that for a living too, for your however long you were like the DJ and the center of attention. But dude, man, you definitely light up those rooms, man, and everybody's attracted to you. But yeah, that 1,000-yard stare, like I don't know. It's ingrained in me. I
can see you just picking out the details in the room or whatever. We do that to a lesser degree. So like way back in the days I was in the Army and we were trained to be observant as well. I don't think it's as intense with us as it is with you guys. I think you're doing that.
Yeah.
It seems like you do it all the time, even when you don't notice.
It's exhausting.
It's constant input.
Yep.
So Marc, LAPD. And what he didn't mention was that the stress during that time period of his transition brought about an autoimmune disease.
Autoimmune, ulcerative colitis, yep.
Yes, and then that developed into Crohn's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same thing or?
It's very similar. So I was originally diagnosed with Crohn's, and recently they've said that it's actually ulcerative colitis. It's very, very similar. But yeah, it's basically my body, my immune system, it attacks itself, right? And you're right. Like I left out a big parts of my story. Like usually the struggling and the challenges, like you would think like I didn't have all that. We have had all of that, right? But and I think that's what's going to come up in these shows is hearing some things that maybe you never heard of from both of us.
Yeah, we won't cover everything in this episode to be 3 hours long. But I really wanted to bring that up because I wanted to make sure that people understand like the struggle is real. When they say that, it's not just a phrase. Like we all have our individual struggles, and it's not just necessarily about pushing through because a lot of times you can use motivation, determination to push through, but it doesn't really help your mindset. It doesn't help your health. It can really be detrimental to you. So it's more important to get your body and your mind aligned. And that's what you asked me, and I still haven't answered what manifest without guilt really means. It means to be aligned with your goals. You find a purpose and you shoot for that purpose. There's a saying where, build a life where you're excited to get out of bed in the morning. Mm-hmm. That comes from a sense of purpose. So you manifest that purpose and you leave the guilt behind. And we have so many examples in this world of people who have achieved a certain level of success, monetary success. And then the behavior is just like reprehensible. Like nobody wants to be like some of these guys. And unfortunately, it's what we're seeing is like the evil that, money does. Like they say that money is the root of all evil. It's people. Money is a tool. And I don't feel any more guilt associated with money than I do with a hammer and nail when I need to hang a picture. It's a tool. It's a tool to help you fulfill your purpose to the ultimate. That is nothing to feel guilty about. And that is one of the things that if you don't get past that guilt inside, well, I don't want to be like this person. No, your purpose is your purpose. And as long as you stay aligned with that, there's nothing to feel guilty about. My purpose is to build security, safety, abundance for my family, my friends, the people I love. That purpose is my North Star. I have no guilt associated with that. So yeah, manifest without guilt. You have to find a purpose. I will say this though, if your purpose is just money, I'm not going to judge you, but I don't foresee a lot of happiness in your future because money in and of itself is just a tool. It's a means to an end. You have to figure out what that end is within you. What lights your soul on fire? What do you feel in your chest when you get up in the morning? You're looking forward to do it. That's your purpose. So that's what Manifest Without Guilt is all about. You already knew that, Marc.
Yeah, that's why I love when I hear it, because every time I hear it, it just fires me up. And I'm not sure if we're supposed to tell people about Colorado, but dude, I can't.
No, we can. Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, ultimate goal with KLS, building it up into a multi-million-dollar company, is to tract the land down in Colorado, Moonheart. That's going to be named after, in honor of my sister, who is now deceased. Rest in peace. We lost her a few years ago to breast cancer, but it was one of her biggest ambitions to have a family homestead where everybody could go. And it wasn't about like, you have to be here or anything like that. Again, no guilt. It was just, no matter what happens in your life, this tract of land, these houses, this community, our loved ones, that's always going to be home for us, no matter where we go. And that is, that is my dream. And that's what I'm focused on building. And yeah.
Let's go. Like you always say, let's go. I guess since we're on the topic of me, before I met Marc, I was the kind of person that had a lot of talent and skills, but I didn't have the right mindset, which didn't enable me to set up the right structure or find the right vehicle for those talents and skills. So I was a DJ at nightclubs, really good at it, DJ producer. Actually, that was one of the things that I did do right, that did work out. But I was one of those people that had always tried a million different things. And I'd split my focus and I'd be all over the place. Not too long after I met Marc and started working with him, I almost felt I was going to have a nervous breakdown that day. I'll tell you the truth. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I'm driving and I just felt like disconnected from the world around me. I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going. Like, is this even life? I expressed all that to you. And, this is where I swear by coaching now, is Marc didn't give me advice. He didn't tell me what he thought I should do, which as a friend, I'm sure if I had asked, he would have. But he chose the right moment to go into what we call coach mode. And he asked me the most impactful question of my life. And that was, if you could strip away everything but one thing that you do well and that you love doing and that you can be successful at, what would that be? And it was like tumblers falling into place. As I stripped away all these things I was trying to do, I was left with just the one thing, and that was music. I had always been successful with it, always been good as a DJ producer. And so I started with that. I stopped thinking about, well, how am I going to scale this up? And how is this going to turn into a successful business and make me millions? I stripped all of that away. And we just got into, how can I do music and bring music to the world? Just focus on music first. And how do I bring that to the world? And we came up with Overdrive Radio, which was my first
Yeah, it's still running today, guys. Overdriveradio.net. It basically was me taking what I did in the club for a decade of work in the clubs and bringing it to the internet, podcast form. It's just like a party, 20 minutes at a time.
Love it, dude. I'm your biggest fan. I probably downloaded every song like 32 times.
Thank you, man. Yeah. So we did, yeah. So it was great because, I mean, I could talk about Overdrive Radio for a whole episode, but I won't. But what it did was it gave me just a laser focus. And it was the thing that broke through everything for me because the radio deal happened. We got the show on the radio here in New England. And then we started the podcast, which to this day is on Apple Podcasts and doing well. And from that was the seed that Kaine Legacy Studios was born. Now we have multiple IPs and we're growing at a pretty quick rate, but it all started from that one question. What's your one thing? Because everything we do with Kaine Legacy Studios has that through line of music running through it. And it's still my one thing to this day, whether I'm writing episodes of Division 13 or Damon or whatever else we're building, it always has that same central theme. Again, I've thanked you for this a million times, man, but I do want to thank you for that. I feel like I'm getting choked up because it was that transformative for me. So I really do appreciate that. Asking me that question. It literally changed my life. I know people say that, but.
Thanks for that, man. Thanks for that. Two things kind of came up for me there. First off, I talk about you when it comes to like the audio level of quality of stuff that you do. I don't know if like your ears ring every single time I'm on a call, because if somebody's doing a podcast, if somebody has I'm like, you need to talk to my buddy, Kurt. Like, I swear he's going to do things that nobody else on the planet has ever. And by the way, pretty soon you might be approached by Larry from the Dad Edge to take over his podcast. But anyway.
Cool. I am taking clients, but only by referral nowadays, Ricky. So don't send me 100 million emails. I'm not taking on every client.
New problems, right? So two things come up. First off, one thing that I've learned, I've coached tens of thousands of people and I've teach people how to coach now. And one thing is when you're working through clarity and working through these things, when you get off a session, if you feel good all the time, you probably need to change up the coach that you're working with. Because coaches who really want to help you are going to get to the root of what's going on in your mind, and that is painful AF. It is difficult to talk about. And one thing that I always want to say, hats off to you, Kurt, is like you're willing to look at it. You're willing to think about and process it. You don't need to have an answer that day, but it's beautiful. The things you come back, like the next day, like every time I've had a question like this for you, the next day I get like 13 voice memos and then this, then this, and then this. And I'm like, yes, because here's the thing. Not everybody takes to coaching like you do. Like, I wish we could bottle that up. Like they probably sell it at Costco, because it's like one of those things where it's like, people don't take that. They don't take it and they don't run with it. So first off, when it comes to coaching is not a comfortable thing. Sometimes it's an uncomfortable thing, but the other person, at least if you're with the right coach, the other person just believes in you more than they believe in your excuses. And when you believe in somebody that much, there's nothing that's going to stop you, right?
Yeah.
But the second thing having to do with like, I'm getting laser focused, right? So I find this so often that people in business try to solve problems that they don't even have right now. So they're trying to solve problems for like 13 levels from right now, scaling and how they're going to hire employees. And that is just what we were talking about at the beginning. Their brain trying to keep them safe. Because if they think all the problems you're going to have, like, but when we're as big as Amazon, like, we're going to have to figure out this. It's like, we will deal with those problems when they come. You will always have problems. They will also be called opportunities, because that's how you can grow. But like, you've got to think about what's like the next problem for you to solve. Not the next problem that your mentor is solving, not the next problem that this other person's solving that's on this. It's like, what is this next step, right? And I can see it. And that's when I ask you a question like that. Like, hey, let's get laser focused. Like, what is the one thing? And it was funny because like when I saw that, I saw like a weight being lifted off of you. And it wasn't me. Like, that answer lived inside of you before I even asked you the question. It's just, we were just all over the place, which, by the way, I do the same thing. My brain is sometimes all over the place, and I need you to ask me a question too. So it's really powerful in that respect to see that we do have the answers inside, But sometimes we need a little bit of help giving us that guidance to make sure that we are focusing on those answers. And then when they come out, it's like, oh man, that was the thing, right? But it's powerful when you can have a relationship like that, which is why I'm like, we need to bring this podcast up because people need to understand what's going on and have a place, an outlet to be able to do that, whether it's even just listening to us, to maybe find some of those things inside of them, because they're sitting right now on like a gold mine, right? Like I know I've used this analogy a lot, but it's like, we're just in life climbing through mountains, climbing over mountains, right? We're climbing. And my mentor used to always say this, is like, the reason why the mountain right now feels like the hardest ever, because it's the one that you're currently climbing. Like it's always the hardest when you're climbing it. But if you stop and you just turn around and you look at all the mountains that you have climbed, all the things that you've overcome, all the obstacles you've gone through, all the setbacks that you've had, but you've gotten up another time, you get to bring all of those things with you to the next mountain, as long as you have somebody who can ask you some questions to remind you that you climbed those mountains before. And this is really where the power is, man.
Bars. That is definitely where the power is. Like I felt that so deep because you're so right. I spent so much of my life trying to solve problems I wasn't even having yet.
Yeah.
That's why I was laughing. I'm trying to predict the future. And well, how do I build a multi-million-dollar company from DJ? You don't need to worry about that. Now I have multiple IPs, but everything is totally aligned. And I still ask myself that question. I still ask myself, are you still focused on that one thing that you do best? Because we talk about investing in real estate. We talk about doing all these things. You can do those things, but that's not what's going to get you over the finish line. That's not going to get you unstuck. If anything, trying to do too many things at once, dilute your focus, that's going to be cause of you getting stuck. I think people take that advice too seriously when they say, oh, millionaires have an average of 7 streams of income.
Yes.
That is true, but they didn't start with 7 streams of income.
They become billionaires by having multiple streams of income. I see that. I was talking to some guy who just sold his business for $16 million. No way that he could have functioned if he had multiple streams. He had one stream. Now he has multiple, because now he has multiple teams and multiple organizations and stuff like that. But it didn't get him to that 16 million mark. It's like if he had tried to solve that problem in the beginning, he wouldn't have been able to sell for that amount.
That's right. I think, the one stream, the one focus gets you to millionaire status. How you stay a millionaire is diversification. Diversification is a protection thing. That's more like, let me put some of this money I've made from Kaine Legacy Studios over here into real estate, because that's a sound investment. But you start with that one thing. That's going to be the thing that you become known for. That is what your brand is. Professionally, your brand is your reputation, is what you are known for. Marc and I can have a million different things we're involved in, but Marc is known for being a master coach. I am known for being a producer, and that is what we are known for. And that's how I get the referrals from Marc, and he may get the referrals from the show or whatever the case, because that is your professional reputation, your brand.
Yeah, you're the best in the world at producing. Oh. I mean, and there's not even in my mind, like somebody says that I need something, I immediately know that because I know you as one thing, right? And if people are listening to this right now and you have a mentor, somebody that you look up to, what is that person's one thing? And by the way, it might be like, they might be at the level right now where they're talking about multiple things, but they weren't talking about multiple things to get there.
Yeah.
Gary Vee.
Exactly.
Gary Vee. He wasn't talking about all of the things he's talking about right now to get there. He was talking about wine.
That's how he started, right? Wine.
Literally started up talking about wine. And that is what helped build up his momentum. So now he gets to talk about all these things.
Yeah.
And if you're starting to talk about all these things in the beginning, like you're not going to be able to be the best of the world at talking about all those things because your reputation, like you said, your brand isn't at that point. Yes. It will be, but you have to lean into the thing that you can do better than anybody in the world.
Yes. And I think that's the central lesson of this episode is clarity comes from focus. So, and that's related to manifesting without guilt. I definitely pick the one thing that you want to be known for. If you have nothing else, you at least have that mindset because you can develop tactics. But without a strategy, tactics is just busy work and you're just spinning your wheels, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you guys, like whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, you want to be rich, you want to be successful, whatever success means to you. It also doesn't have to mean monetary success, but if you want to achieve success in life, ask yourself what it is you want to be known for. Ask yourself what that one thing is. That's what's going to get you there.
I love that, man. Let's put out a little call to action to everybody. So for everybody who is listening to this, whether you find us on social media, you send an email to one of us, let us know what that one thing is. Like there's a difference between just keeping it in your own mind and declaring to the world, this is my one thing. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be your focus. So share that with us. We'd love to be able to lean in and help you.
Absolutely. I love what you said there. It doesn't have to be perfect. So many people throw up so many excuses as to why they don't want to start, why they're not open to this, and all it is they're trying to seek perfect conditions before they start. It's like trying to wait till you get warm before you start the fire. You have to be ready to jump in, to be open-minded and really ask yourself these serious questions. And if you're not willing to ask them of yourself, you're really not going to be willing to hear them from someone else.
Yep.
I ask myself tough questions all the time. Sometimes I just don't know the right questions to ask myself. That's why a professional coach is so valuable, because they know the questions. Good life coaches have those reps in. They have those skills. They can sit with you and ask you a question. I don't even think Marc was working that hard that day on it. He just immediately knew the right question to ask me. And that was because he's done it how many times before?
10,000, but also it's one of the reasons why I think we connect so much is because we're very like wired similarly. Like when I talk about like me helping people get like unstuck, like that's my main thing, but it's not just people who are not taking action. It's the people who are taking so much action and nothing is changing. That's why I resonate with your story, because I'm very similar to that. It's what happened when I went through my autoimmune issues at LAPD. Like I was just throwing more action at everything, thinking that was the solution. And it wasn't. I had to become somebody different. I had to really think differently. Right. And so that's why I think I connect most with you, is because that's our response. Our response is, let's work harder. Let's put more action here. Right. But if you're putting action into the wrong things, it doesn't really go anywhere. Right.
And when you're putting more action into that one focus thing, it doesn't feel like the same amount of work.
Yeah.
It is work. It is work. If we wanted time off, we definitely wouldn't have chosen to be entrepreneurs.
No, we would not have. I would have stayed at LAPD, to be honest.
Yeah. The truth is that once you find that one thing, it doesn't feel like work. I'll forget to eat sometimes because I'm so focused on what I'm building. I don't know. Does that happen to you?
It happens to me all the time. I looked up right now. We've already been on the podcast for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, wow.
I can stay in here for another 3 hours, but Simone, I can't wait to keep going with this, because this is the same thing, like getting on and having a conversation with you. It just feels like a Tuesday,
Yeah.
But letting other people like listen to some of these things and having them pull just one thing that connected with them the most. They don't have to listen to every single thing we said, but like connecting to the one thing that called out to them in this episode and then going out and taking action on it. That's really what that looks like. And I love being able to do that for people. So,
okay. So what is your one thing? You say it again. You say it so much better than I do.
So when you listen to this episode, I want you to think about, what is your biggest takeaway from this? Like what is calling to you in terms of, this is the action that I need to take, or this is the way that I need to reframe this, right? And then go out, commit to doing something as a result of it, and take action on it. And we'd love to hear like how this goes for you. Like so many people listen to a podcast like this and they're like, I have 32 things. And I'm like, no, you didn't grab the focus of this episode. Focus on one thing that you can pull from this, take action on it. I promise you're going to get some results from it.
That's right. So yeah, that's the question, right? For the episode. And Marc, how can our listeners find you? More information about you and your company.
Yeah, probably the best place is, I also have a podcast, Modern Leadership Coaching Podcast, which is edited and produced by my buddy Kurt. So it sounds completely legit. By the way, if Lux Manifest Podcast sounds better than the Modern Leadership Coaching Podcast, we're going to have a conversation. All right, bro. Right. But no, come find me over there. How about you? How are people going to connect with you?
My website, I have my own personal brand website now.
Watch out, man.
Yes, I do. It's curtisgray.net. So that's CURTIS, Gray with an A, GRAY.net. That link will be in the show notes as well. Yeah, reach out to either one of us and let us know what your one thing is.
And we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah, man, this is really good. We'll see you guys next time.
Oh, we didn't record it. No, I'm just kidding.